My name is Marsha Ivins. I was a NASA astronaut for 37 years and had the opportunity to fly on 5 Space Shuttle missions. If my experiences as an astronaut and working on a team to go to space and make that successful can be interesting or useful in what you do in the classroom, then I am very honored to be able to share that with you. You had a sort of fixed um, things that you studied in school. And if you were on the college or the university track, then you studied certain things that would allow you to do that. And if you were on a more get a job, you worked in those things. And I sort of crossed the barriers because they were interesting to me. The academic path didn't normally take kids and put them in shop. We called it shop, and learning to work with tools and wood and metal and kind of thing, drafting. Those were not things that people that were going on to a university typically did, but I thought they were interesting, so I did them. And they were certainly not things that girls did, but there were a couple of us, and so I learned to work with tools at an early age. And then I went on the same academic path, but there was no path to follow. So I looked to see what astronauts were at the time. Well, they were all men, so that was out. They were all military pilots. And at the time in the United States, joining the military for a woman was also out. But being a pilot was not. So I convinced my father um, when I was 15 years old that I should learn to fly. And for some bizarre reason, he agreed, and he and I started learning to fly together. So I actually learned to fly an airplane before I learned to drive a car. And I wasn't sure that was going to get me in the right direction, but it was going to get me a little bit off the earth, not very high, not into space, but at least off the earth a little bit. So I learned to fly. Another thing girls didn't do as an early age. When the time came to start selecting universities, the guidance counselor said to me, well, what would you like to do? And I said, well, I think I'd like to be an engineer, because that's what those astronauts at the time were. In addition to being men and military fighter pilots, they were engineers. I thought, well, that I can do. So let's be an engineer. And the guidance counselors basically said to me, well, you can't because you're a girl. And I said, yeah, watch me. And found universities that would allow me to study engineering, but also study liberal arts if I decided I really didn't like engineering. And I went from there. I consider myself more of a street child. I had real world experience. I had been working at NASA in Houston as an engineer. So I think the ability to work on a team, the ability to accept people that are, that have differing opinions, to learn to listen, to learn to accept, and to learn to compromise in order to get the job done as a team is an important thing to learn, and it's not something that can be taught in school. Kids that play team sports learn this a little bit. People that work in opportunities that do things not individually, but that have to work together as a team, whether it's an expedition kind of thing, or whether it's a team project where you all have to contribute and meld together your ideas and your thoughts in order to make a product at the end. That is an important skill. And those of us that were hired pretty fresh out of school, really hadn't learned that a lot. So for some, it was a struggle. And I'm hoping I didn't struggle too hard with that. Technology is thirsty for people in all areas of it. And if somebody is interested in something in particular, that's the area where they should focus. The environmental things, alternative energies, and power sources, and better battery kinds of things. The nuclear industry could use a huge amount of help to make it safe and productive. The solar industry, the hydrogen engine, for cars industry, electronics. Pick something that that you use every day, and think of the components and that how they could be made more reliable and safer and better, and run smoother and last longer. All that is technology. So it's a wide open field, and I think any child's interest in any particular thing should be encouraged. When people ask me, I'm interested in space, now I say, what part of space? Is it human space? Is it planetary? Is it astronomy? Is it, black holes? Is it, what is it? Pick your poison, because it's a wide open area. I mean, no pun intended, in what you want to learn. So I think encouraging any young person's interest helps them to be successful. Not everybody is a winner. It just doesn't, life doesn't work out that way. There are some things that you do that you will not do well, or that you will not succeed, or that you will not accomplish, that you will just not do, despite your best intentions and despite how hard you try. And being discouraged is just a natural human response to that, but giving up should not be. I think trying again, trying to do better, trying to strengthen where you were weak, to approach it again, is something that should be encouraged, as opposed to saying, well, that's okay, try to find something else that you can do. If somebody's really interested and motivated and passionate about that, that passion, I think, should be encouraged in any way possible. And if you fail at first at that, and you still feel passionate about it, you will beat yourself up for some amount of time. That's just human. And then move on. I mean, get on with it. I mean, like I said, I was rejected twice from the astronaut program, but I was not told it was a permanent rejection. I mean, there are some people who were medically disqualified, and that you cannot overcome. And that wasn't the case. So I just kept at it. And got more experience and tried again, hoped I did a better interview, wrote a better essay, whatever it was going to take. Got to know more people, tried to do my job as well as I could, and I got selected.